CBS News has learned the Trump administration is negotiating with the East African country of Rwanda to house illegal migrants deported out of the United States. The deal calls for Rwanda to hold African migrants and other non-Rwandan nationals. U.S. and Rwandan officials tell us details like financial compensation and logistics would be discussed within the next 2 weeks. A British plan to send refugees to Rwanda in 2024 was scrapped after it caused a political outcry, but not before the UK government spent $900 million on the idea.
£700 million of British taxpayer money spent on Rwanda hotels that now might house American deportees instead of UK migrants. Let that sink in for a moment. While Keir Starmer scrapped the Rwanda plan and channel crossings hit record highs, Trump could be about to use our facilities for his own immigration crackdown.
And the UK is looking to salvage funds already sent to Rwanda as part of the now scrapped asylum deal.
The scheme was dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Look at the numbers that have come over in the first 6 and a bit months of this year. They're record numbers.
The Prime Minister has obviously set out the position on the Rwanda scheme, where, as we know, the Conservatives ran this scheme for 2.5 years and sent simply 4 volunteers.
Is this the most expensive foreign aid blunder in British history? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. What if I told you that British taxpayers funded luxury Rwandan accommodation that may soon house American deportees instead of tackling our own migration crisis? The reality is even more staggering when you look at the full £700 million investment made under the Conservative government.
A new approach to small boat crossings that will secure Britain's borders, prevent the exploitation by tackling it upstream, and smash the criminal smuggling gangs.
It's clear that Rishi Sunak has failed to keep our borders secure and cannot be trusted.
So that means the flights won't be going, and use the money towards the command, the law enforcement command, that I think is vital to taking down the gangs that are running the vile trade of putting people in small boats to cross the channel.
This wasn't just about a few hotel purchases. We're talking about extensive property acquisitions, years of civil servant salaries, legal fees, and an entire deportation infrastructure that now sits completely unused by Britain. Let's break down where this money went. The Rwanda plan included purchasing multiple hotel properties specifically retrofitted for migrant accommodation. It required training Rwandan staff, establishing processing centres, creating transportation networks, and building an entire administrative system from scratch. That's £700 million of British taxpayer money sitting in Rwanda, money that could have funded NHS services, schools, or actually securing our own borders. Before the election, Keir Starmer made grand promises about fixing the immigration system with a practical approach that would end the chaos. How quickly those promises evaporated. Upon taking office, his very first action was abandoning the Rwanda plan entirely.
A British plan to send refugees to Rwanda in 2024 was scrapped after it caused a political outcry, but not before the UK government spent $900 million on the idea.
The scheme was dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Look at the numbers that have come over in the first 6 and a bit months of this year. They're record numbers.
It's clear that Rishi Sunak has failed to keep our borders secure and cannot be trusted.
No alternative, no replacement strategy, just a complete policy vacuum where a deterrent once stood. The consequences: channel crossings haven't just continued, they've exploded. Before Starmer scrapped the plan, the mere threat of Rwanda deportation was showing early signs of deterrence. Official Home Office figures show illegal migration was beginning to plateau. Now, we're seeing record numbers week after week. Just last month, over 5,000 migrants crossed the channel illegally, the highest monthly total ever recorded. This isn't coincidence, this is direct cause and effect. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Trump's immigration approach has produced measurable results. Border crossings in America dropped dramatically during his first term. And with his return to office looming, he's not wasting time. A leaked diplomatic cable confirmed Rwanda has already accepted deportees from the United States. The document specifically mentioned an Iraqi national deported through this arrangement. Proof that Rwanda is willing and ready to accept migrants, just not Britons. The bitter irony? The very facilities British taxpayers funded may soon house American deportees. The hotels we paid for, the processing systems we developed, the staff we trained, all potentially benefiting American immigration policy while our own borders remain porous. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Phelps didn't mince words when he said, "The stupidity of Starmer's decision becomes even more apparent if America uses the hotels Britain paid for. This would represent an unprecedented level of incompetence, even by Labour standards." What does this reveal about Starmer's leadership? It shows a fundamental disregard for British interests. It demonstrates a willingness to waste astronomical sums of public money for purely ideological reasons. Most concerningly, it reveals a Prime Minister more focused on virtue signalling to his base than addressing the actual crisis affecting communities across Britain. The full extent of this blunder is difficult to overstate. £700 million spent on facilities that may directly benefit America's immigration policy represents possibly the most expensive foreign aid mistake in British history. That's £700 million effectively donated to Rwanda, with nothing in return, no deterrent effect, no reduction in channel crossings, no solution to our immigration problems, just a giant financial black hole with Starmer's signature on it. Think about what that money could have done. It could have funded comprehensive border security measures. It could have established processing centres on British soil. It could have hired thousands of immigration officials to clear the asylum backlog. Instead, it's sitting in Rwanda while small boats continue to arrive on our shores in record numbers. This debacle perfectly exemplifies the broken promises that have come to define Starmer's premiership. Remember the pledge to respect Brexit? Abandoned. The promise to be fiscally responsible? Shattered. The commitment to secure our borders? Nowhere to be seen. Instead, we have a government that casually throws away £700 million while failing to address one of the most pressing issues facing the country. The Rwanda situation isn't just a policy disagreement, it's a microcosm of everything wrong with Starmer's approach to governance. Prioritising ideological purity over practical solutions, wasting enormous sums of public money with nothing to show for it, and now potentially handing the benefits of British investment to America on a silver platter. As channel crossings break new records almost weekly, Starmer offers no solutions, just the hollow echoes of abandoned promises. And while British taxpayers contemplate the £700 million spent on Rwandan hotels they'll never use, Trump prepares to benefit from perhaps the most expensive gift one nation has ever inadvertently given another. The Rwanda debacle reveals something far more concerning than wasted funds. It exposes a Prime Minister who sacrifices British interests, while other nations capitalise on our investment. This £700 million failure demands accountability from a government that promised competence, but delivered precisely the opposite. British taxpayers now face the humiliating prospect of funding American immigration enforcement while our own borders remain completely vulnerable. As small boats continue arriving in record numbers, this moment serves as a stark reminder. When assessing whether Starmer's government represents your interests, consider this question. Is this administration working for Britain or merely performing political theatre at enormous public expense?